Guys, please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice on screen. Those who are attending in online. Guys, please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice on screen. Those who are attending in online. Guys, please confirm to me. All of you are getting my voice on screen. And Charan Kumar, are you there? Charan Kumar, are you there? Yeah, then I think are you related to this batch or outside of this batch? Charan Kumar. Yeah, I think Durgasoft has given some ID numbers to you. Already you received a mail, right? But why you are not entered your like what I'm telling the Durgasoft ID? There's an authentication for everybody. So if you are not entered that ID, then by default you might be thought about it, might be from outside. That's why I'm asking to you. See, then everybody has entered their ID numbers. Then can you type it? What's your ID number there? Already mail was sent to you. Hey, good morning, Saitesh. Good morning. Okay. Yeah, Charan, that you have to enter whenever we are attending the session there. As a first name, we have to enter that. Okay. Yeah. Then today, then I think so. Then today I will remove your entry from the webinar there after the class. Then tomorrow, at least try to enter that. Fine. Okay, right. Just if you want to ask any question there, just you can type there, guys. All of you, I'm telling you, just you can type in questions box. Continuously, I'm watching your questions there. Then I can give reply. Right. Fine. Thank you. All right. Good morning, guys. All right, sir. And check it what we completed in the last session. All right. And 1 minute, sir. All right, so now check it what we completed there in the last session. I think so. We are discussing about protocol. All right, in protocol, then what we completed there, get and post that content we completed. Okay. Right, sir. So in servlets protocol part here we are discussing. Inside this protocol, what topic here we are discussing there, then HTTP methods part here we are discussing. Different types of HTTP methods are available. Then all the HTTP methods here we are discussing. All right, now let us see the points what we understood there. All right, sir. Then I given one point here. Here I want to say like what there, the heading I want to provide there, HTTP methods. HTTP methods is a heading here. This we can understand. So the HTTP protocol is able to provide an advantage, another advantage to the developers, like to send different types of requests from client to server. Okay, different types of requests from what there, client to server, due to the HTTP methods. Different HTTP methods are available. Due to that HTTP methods, different types of requests are we are able to send from client to server. You got it now? All right. Then after that, what next one here? After completion of this, that another thing is like what there. Observe carefully. So what are the various request types here we are able to submit from client to server? If you observe this, all right, here we are having some HTTP methods. HTTP 1.0 has provided get, post, then what next one here, head. And HTTP 1.1 version has provided what there, options, trace, put, delete. Next one is how HTTP protocol has provided some other reserved HTTP methods like connect, tunnel, and so on. Observe carefully. Then after that here, what I am telling there, now here we are having, all right, we are having like what there, different interview questions are available from all these content. What are the different types of interview questions there? First one is, what are the differences between get and post? At the same time, what are the differences between do get and do post methods? These many things are existed here. Get is default request type in web applications. No need to specify get to send get request in user form from user form. Not okay, nice, no problem. Post is not a default request. Post is not a default request. To send a post request from client, we must specify post in the user form. Okay, fine. Get request will not have body part in the request format, whereas post request will have body part in the request format. Get requests are able to carry less data from client to server. That means in get request, if you provide request parameters data, then the request parameters data will be sent to the server through request formats header part only. Due to the lack of body part in get request, here there is a memory limitation for request format header part, so it is able to carry only less data. Then what is the another point I said there? Post requests are able to carry more data from client to server due to the availability of body part. In post request, there is no memory limitation for the post request. There is a memory limitation for post request body part. It is able to carry any volume of data. Right, sir. Get request is not providing security for the user's data. Why? Because if we provide request parameters data in the user form, then get request will provide that user provided data at the client browser's address bar along with the URL as query string. It will be open for every user. Post request is able to provide security for the user's data. Why? Because if we provide request parameters data along with the post request, then post request will not display that user's parameters data at a client browser's address bar as a query string. Next one. In case of get request parameters data will not be encrypted while transferring data from client to the server in the network. In case of post request, request parameters data will be encrypted while transferring data from client to server in the network. Get request is mainly for download operation, that is getting some resources from like what there server. Post request is mainly for upload operation, that is to post some resources from client to server. Next one, get is supporting only characters data, whereas post is supporting binary data. All right, sir. Get is supporting only characters data. Post is supporting only supporting binary data. Observe carefully. All right, sir. Then immediately we had another question there. What is the difference between get and what next one can know? Post, get and head. If you send get request for any resource that exists at server side application, then server will send both the response data and the response headers data in the form of a responsive format to the client, in the form of like what there responsive format to the client. Observe carefully. Then if you send a head request for any resource, if you send head request for any resource, 1 minute, sir. If you send a head request for any resource that exists at server side application, then server will send both response data, that is body and response headers data. Okay, that we are able to get. But if you send a head request for any resource that exists at server side application, then server will send only the requested resource headers data to the client in the form of like what the response format. That means body part is not going to be existed clearly. Body part is not going to be existed clearly. Yes, sir. Got it or not? This is what exactly the point here I'm telling to you clearly now. All of you are getting it clearly? Right, sir. That's okay, fine now. All right, then after that, then what next one here now? Options request now. What next one here? Options request here we are getting clearly. Right, sir. Right. Just give a minute of time. Sure. Next one is like what there? Options request type now. Next one is what there? Options request type. Right now, check this clearly. What is the meaning of this options request type now? Everybody understand this options request type. See, first of all, tell me guys, all of you know, how many number of HTTP methods are available as per our discussion there now? 7 number of HTTP methods are available. Get, post, head, options, put, trace, delete. Overall, 7 number of HTTP methods are available. But remember carefully, supporting all these HTTP methods or not supporting all these HTTP methods is totally depending on the server which we have used. It's totally depending on what the server what we have used. Understand it clearly. Some servers may support all the HTTP methods. Some other servers may support some of the HTTP methods. But as per my observation, every server must support two HTTP methods. They are what they are like what they get and post. Yeah, observation only, but there is no guarantee for it anyway. But that depends on what their servers. But here my interest is what is my interest here in this case? No, my interest is at present we are using one server for our application. That server is supporting how many HTTP methods and which HTTP methods I want to know that. At present we are using one server there, one application server we are using. That server is supporting which HTTP methods and how many HTTP methods, that I want to know. To know that information, there we have to go for like what there options request time. There we have to go for what there options request time. All of you observe carefully. What is the meaning of this options request type? No, you can understand clearly. Now let's see this one. The point is what there. this request can be used to get the list of HTTP methods which are supported by the present server which we are using for web applications. That's it. All of you understand this clearly? What is the purpose of this options request type? No, at present, whatever the server we are using, this server is supporting which HTTP methods. Is it supporting all the HTTP methods or not? Or some of the HTTP methods or not? Okay, which HTTP methods are supported by this present application server? This is the clear-cut information here. We have to understand clearly. Yes, sir, got it or not? All right, sir. That's okay, fine. Now, this is like what I'm telling you, options request type now. Next one, after completion of these options here, another one is like what there? Put request. That means again here we have one important interview question. What is the difference between post request and put request? What is the difference between post request and put request? Answer is very simple. Now try to understand this clearly. What is the difference between post request and what their put request? Observe this clearly. Post request for posting the data to the server means that for uploading the data to the server. But put request purpose is what there? Not for uploading the data, just it is for updating the data at server side. Update is different, creating a resource is different. Upload is nothing but create a resource at server side. But my requirement is what there? Updating the data. Already some resources available where I want to do some updations there. Answer my point here. Already some resources are available. I want to do updations there now. Simple, sir. In the database, inserting a record is nothing but posting the data. Already record is available. I want to update the data. That is what their update operation here. So put is for what they're updating the resource, but whereas post is for what they're like uploading the data. Try to understand this clearly. All right, sir. Now, post request can be used to force a resource to the server machine. That is creating a resource at server side application. All right, so whereas put request is what there? Put request can be used to update the resource data which is existed at a server side application. I can say one more point here. Put request can be used to update the resource. Update, or maybe I may use another word that is over there. That is what there. Override the data. Override the resource. Override the resource. Or maybe we can say another point here. Replace the resource. Already one resource is available. In place of that, I want to provide what there some other resource can. So replace the resource which exists at a server side application. That is clearly the information like what there. This is clearly like information like what there that put request can. But understand this point what I am telling to you. As per the server's security constraints, as per the server's security constraints, servers may not support put requests. Why? Because we are overriding the resource in the sense that means we are corrupting one resource and giving some data or not. Maybe it is not like what their safe operation in the point of servers now. So some servers may not support this particular request type. Understand this point clearly. At the end I will give conclusion which are supported and which are not supported. Again, that points here we are able to understand clearly. All right, sir. Put is okay, fine. Then what next one can observe carefully? Trace request. Trace request. What is the purpose of this trace request here? Understand this. On simple scenario, now try to understand all of you guys what I'm telling to you. For example, just understand the scenario what I'm giving there so that you can understand clearly. I have one website. Clear? I have one website. Observe carefully. In that website, I have some fixed number of customers. Say for example, 1000 number of customers are available. Every day at a time I can get 1000 number of requests from my customers. So if it is only 1000 number of customers, it's okay, fine. My website can handle it. My website can handle it, 1000 number of customers. Fortunately, my business is very good. My business is very good. It's growing up continuously. In the next 1 year of time, what happened there? Previously, 1000 number of customers are available, but in the next 1 year of time, my business is very good. So due to that, 1 lakh number of customers are coming within 1 year of time. 1 lakh number of customers are coming. So at a time, how many requests I must handle there? All my customers may send requests. No, all my customers may send requests to my website. There maybe chances are available. Once we are giving our website for every customer, definitely the customers can access our web resources. At a time, 1 lakh number of requests are coming there. When if it is 1000 number of requests at a day, my website is okay, good enough, handling that all the requests. If it is 10,000, okay, no problem. If it is 50,000, okay, no problem. But 1 lakh number of requests at a time, in the sense, no chances for my website to handle all these many number of requests. Definitely some burden will increase. Definitely my, no, just 1 minute. All right, sir. So definitely, then what happened here? No, definitely my website is having like what there so many like this. Traffic is very good, so my website is unable to handle it. Then what we have to do there? What is the solution here? We have to provide this. Of course, there is a concept like load balancing that I'm not talking actually. I don't want to move forward there. Load balancing. Load balancing in the sense what we are going to do there. Server instances we are going to create. Our application server, our server is available. Same instance will be created at different multiple server instances will be created. The incoming traffic will be diverted to all the 4 server instances. So we can handle that. That is not my alternative. My alternative, I want to provide this. Observe carefully. I identified all these requests. 1 lakh number of requests are coming from what they from throughout the world, not from a single location. All my customers are spreading throughout the world. They are sending continuously requests to my website. So I want to provide some solution. What that solution here I want to provide there? Entire globe I want to divide into 4 regions. Anyway, continents are available there. As per the continents, we want to provide some service. What that service there? Asia continent, I want to maintain one separate instance. Europe, I want to maintain one separate instance. Africa, I want to maintain some other separate instance, and some other continent, some other. Overall, 4 divisions I provided here. At each and every region, I am going to provide what there one instance of my server side application. One server I will provide. Still, I will check it. Still, the traffic is more or not. If the traffic is more, then what I will do there? Again, each and every instance I want to divide into what there sub instances. Subnodes we want to prepare there. What are the subnodes there? For example, if we take Asia, again here I want to divide this Asia into countries. Number of countries are available. At each and every country we want to maintain what there one server. Then again India, if we take India, here what I am telling here, one server we want to maintain. Again in India, more and more number of customers are coming there. Again traffic is more for the server which we are maintaining for India. Understand it here. Again we are going to divide India into 4 regions there: east, west, north, south. Then at each and every location we are going to maintain what there another node, again sub nodes. Think of it. West, for west I'm going to keep that node is at what there Bangalore, for example. For the east at Kolkata, for west at Mumbai, for north at Delhi, I want to maintain what there all these nodes. Okay, now observe carefully. For example, myself is a person, I'm available at which place there? Hyderabad. For my software, think of it. Myself is a customer, no? I'm staying at Hyderabad. I'm sending my request to whom there? To the local. Local is what there? North side. Sorry, south. South node. What is that south node here? Maybe it's available at Bangalore. My request will go to what there? Bangalore server. Think of it. If my request is handled there, it's okay, well and good. I may get immediate response from it. If it is not processed at south node, then it will forward that request to what their parent of the south node. What is the parent node for the south here? No, India node. Guys, all of you are following or not? I'll send, first of all, I'll send my request to some www.abc.com. First of all, my request will go to what their south region node. If it is providing solution, it's okay, well and good. I can get response immediately. In the case, if it is not providing response now, automatically there some resource is not available. The required resource is not available. My request is not processed there on that particular node. Immediately, what it will do there? It will forward that request to what their parent node of the south. What is the parent node? For entire India, we maintain one node now. That's the parent node. There it is trying to process the request. Okay, if it is solvable, if it is processor there, I may get response like this. But still there also be, my request is not possible to process there, then that request will be forwarded to what their parent node. What is the parent for this India node? No, Asia node. One node we maintain at Asia level, right? If it is processed there, then it's okay, I'm able to get response here. If it is not processed there, then what will happen there? Again, now what will happen there? That server will forward that request to what there? It's a parent. What is that parent there? Now tell me. For the Asia, there is a parent node. That parent node I maintain at what there? USA, for example. There our request will be submitted. There definitely there's a parent of the parent node. Definitely it has to provide some solution there clearly. Yes, sir, got it or not? I'm asking one question to you. Now tell me what exactly the path my request has taken to get the solution, to get the response. What exactly the path it has taken? Then now tell me. First it will go to what there? Right, south region of the south node of the India. Next it will go to what there? India. Next it will go to what there? Asia. Next it will go to what there? Main. That is what there? USA. Got it or not? Now my requirement is this overall tracing data I want to get. My requirement is what there? What exactly the tracing part is available for my request to get response? No, the tracing details I want to get. The tracing details here I want to get. Got it or not? For that purpose, we have to use what request type there? Trace request type. Guys, all of you get my point or not? What exactly the purpose of this trace request? No. All right. Now this is exactly the meaning of like what there? Trace request. Observe carefully what I'm telling there. It can be used to get the tracing path. It can be used to get a tracing path of the request, tracing path of request from where the required response is generated. That's it. Definitely one server is giving some response to us. To reach that particular server, what exactly the tracing is available for our request? That tracing data here we want to get. That is one thing here. It can be used to get the tracing path of the request, from where the required response is generated. From which server the required response is generated. From which server the required response is generated. So this is what exactly the purpose of like what their trace request. This is one point here. But the same trace will be utilized in another way. In another way also we can utilize the same trace request. What is that another way here? Understand this clearly. It can be used to get the working status of. It can be used to get the working status of a particular server side resource. Just we are able to find the working status of a particular server side resource. Even for this also we are going to use what there? Trace request now. Say for example, at my server side, there is a resource. So for example, a resource is available. A resource is available. Understand it clearly. Resource A is available. I want to check whether that resource is ready to execute or not. That resource is ready to process it, the request or not. I want to know that. So then immediately we are able to use what there? A trace request. All right, sir. Understand it clearly. It's almost same as It's almost the same as echo server. It's almost the same as what there echo server. What's the meaning of this echo server, guys? Observe carefully. Echo. What is the meaning of echo in general? Say for example, if you go for some stereos, mics or maybe some sound stereos, if you go there, echo. There is a concept like echo. What is the meaning of it? No, if I say hello, the same we are able to hear again or not. This is nothing but what there echo. Similarly, echo server in the sense what there. If you send a request to the echo server with hello, that server will send response with the same hello to us. If I send a request with the data hello to the server, no, server will take that request, server will send the response to us with the same hello, with the same request data. So this type of server is called as what there echo server. Now what I'm telling there, it can be used to get the working status of a particular server side resource. It's almost the same as echo server. Means that, for example, server A, that means A resource is available at our server side application. I want to know whether it is working fine or not. So I will send a request to that particular resource with the hello data. Then server has to check its working status. If it is working fine, it will send a response to the respective client with the same hello. If it is not working fine, that hello will be missed. Some different type of response will come to what their respective client can. So in that way, we are able to utilize this trace request clearly. But again, I'm telling there, these many functionalities of the trace request may be supported, may not be supported by the servers what we are using. Of course, out of these two functionalities, no, some servers may provide only this functionality, or some other servers may provide what there, this functionality. But protocol has given a proposal to the servers, but supporting this proposal or not supporting this proposal, that is totally depending on what their server, whatever the application server we are using. On the basis of that, we are able to get the status scale. Supporting or not supporting, it's totally depending on what their our server what we are using. But proposal, that means HTTP protocol has given functionality for these HTTP methods in this way. Guys, understand it clearly. HTTP protocol is giving only abstraction, but their implementations must be provided by whom? Servers only. Servers must take the responsibility of providing support for these HTTP methods. At protocol level, for every request type, there is a support. But this support is implemented at server side or not, depending on what their application servers what you are using. Right, sir. Now this is one point here. Next one is another one. What is this another one here? No, delete request. Another one is what there? Delete request type. Right, sir. The name itself is giving much clarity for us. Try to understand this. What is this delete request type? No, observe carefully. All of you observe carefully. It can be used to delete a particular resource. It can be used to delete a particular resource from server side application. It can be used to delete a particular resource from what there server side application. Again, I'm telling to you one small note kind of punch here. All right, sir. As per the server's security constraints, almost all the servers are not supporting this request type. Almost all the servers are not supporting this request type. See, deleting a particular resource in the sense that how it is possible to allow this type of request now. For example, my friend website is available. I want to delete some particular resource there. If I send delete request to this particular application, if the server is allowing now, unnecessarily my friend website resources are going to be deleted or not. If it is a case, nobody's websites are going to be available in the web environment. Everybody, they can delete their own resources here now. So because of that reason, servers are not allowing what their this type of request types here now, as per their security constraints. If servers are allowing this kind of request types, no, where servers are giving protection for the web applications, no, where servers are giving security for our applications there, so definitely these things are not going to be allowed. Right, that's the point here we have to understand clearly now. Guys, now totally different request types that we understood clearly. But one small note here I'm telling there, observe carefully. For all of them, notice what there. All the above request types are supported or not supported is completely depending on the servers. Okay, but where I'm telling there, some servers may support all the request types. Some other servers may support some of the request types. Some of the request types now. All right, sir. Again, I'm telling to you, observe carefully. Observe carefully. One more note I'm telling there. Almost all the servers are not supporting, almost all the servers are not supporting, almost all the servers are not supporting delete requests, that I know. Almost all, max number of servers are not supporting what their delete request type. Okay, but almost all the servers are supporting get and what next one again, post. As per my observation, get and post are supported by every server. They are minimum request types now. But delete is somewhat dangerous, then it is not supported by almost all the servers. But remaining request types are supported or not supported is totally depending on like what their servers what you are using. This is clear cut information what I'm telling there. Then already I have been working with almost 4 to 5 servers I have seen there previously. In all the cases here I'm giving this conclusion. Delete is not supported by whom care, no, delete is not supported by servers care, but like what there now, not only the delete, no, get and post are supported by what there, almost all the request care, no. Understand this point here. And one more point everybody has to understand it, no, this is actual content over the server side resources. Got it or not? But how I'm going to utilize these HTTP methods in my enterprise applications, no, instead of applying these request types over the resources which are available at server side application, I'm going to apply the same request type for the sake of my data in the database. The same request types I'm going to be utilized for performing operations with the records of data available at database. For my purpose, I'm going to utilize these request types. How I'm going to utilize it now? For example, I want to insert one employee into the database. The database is connected with what their server side application. I want to insert a record into the database which is at the server side application. Then what request type I will provide there now? Tell me, I want to create a resource. That means I want to insert a record into the database table. Then I will use post request. Answer my point here. I want to get one record data from server to application. Then what request here I'm going to use there? Get request type here I'm going to use. Observe carefully. Get request type here I'm going to use. Next one, for example, already one record is available, one employee data is available, address is changed for that employee. Then I want to update the data which is available in the database. Then what I have to use there? Which request type I have to use there? Update operation I want to perform. So which request type I have to use there? Put request I want to use. I get my point on put request here I'm going to use. Next one is already one record is available in the database now. I want to delete that record here. If you're deleting that record now, then what I'm going to do there? Then delete request type here I'm going to use. That means in general these request types are applying on by default, applying on what their server side resources only. But anyway, some of them are supported, some of them are not supported. Just forget about this kind of scenario. But how I'm going to utilize these request types for my application there? In my application, no, I'm going to utilize these many request types to apply. I'm going to use these request types to perform operations with the records which are available in the database. For inserting a record, for updating the record, for deleting the record, for getting the record. CRUD operations we are going to perform in the database or not? With respect to these CRUD operations, I'm going to use these many request types from our clients clearly. But at server side application, I will manage this one. If request is coming with the post, then insert the record. If the request is coming with the getter, fetch the data and send the data. If the request is coming with the put, update the data. If the request is coming with the delete, delete the record. In this way, I'm going to use like what there, these request types in our applications. Of course, explicitly also we can use them. But if you are not implementing like this, by default, these request types are going to be applied on what their server side resources to perform operations with what their server side resources. But anyway, in either of the way, we are going to utilize these concepts clearly. Right, so leave this one now. This is total story about like what their request types, what we are using clearly. All right, now understand this clearly, all of you know. All of you observe carefully, guys. Next one after that, again people are asking to me, explain about trace request. No, understand this clearly. No, what I said to you, trace request in the sense our server instances are available at more than one level. When I submit one request there, that request will go to first node. If it is not processed there, then it will go to the next node, not processed the next node. For example, at third level, my response is coming there. There I want to get what is the trace of my request, what is the tracing part of my request. To get the tracing part of this request, no, there we have to go for like what there we have to go for this trace request. That is the requirement here, we can understand. That only the point here. Another thing is like what there in different way also we can use this trace request. That is like what there to check the working status of a particular server side resource. Working status of a particular server side resource, I want to check whether it is working fine or not, ready to work or not, ready to serve or not. For that purpose, we are going to use trace request. Now it is acting as like what there echo server. What's the meaning of echo server there? If you send a request for a particular resource with hello data, if that working, the status of the server side resource is fine, then immediately server will send some response to the client with the same hello data. If you receive the response with the same hello data, that the working status of the server side resource is fine. If you are not receiving same hello aligned with the response, no, some other response here we are getting there, it means that the working status of the particular server side resource is not good, it is not ready to serve, so don't send any request to this particular resource. That's it, guys. Now this is about clearly what there the content here I'm telling to you about like what there total protocol. That means request types, the topic is completed clearly. So with this totally protocol topic is completed. Guys, can you tell me what exactly the topic here we are discussing there? Actually, what topic we are discussing there? In servlets now, we are discussing about the second topic. Introduction is completed. Second topic I am discussing there. What is the second topic there? Client server architecture we are discussing. Where client is completed, then what next one here? Server is also be completed. Now, what is the next component there? Sorry, client is completed. Next one is what there? Protocol is completed. Two components are overall, three components are available in client server architecture. Client, protocol, what next one here? Server. Client is completed and protocol is completed. Then what is remaining there? Server is remaining there. Now let us start with what there? Server here. All right, sir. Understand this clearly. Server. All of you observe carefully. Server. All right, sir. Now I'm asking one question to all of you. Now tell me what is a server? Simple. Straightly, I'm asking this question there. What exactly the meaning of server? What is server? What is the job of the server in client server applications? Then all the points here we have to understand. All right, sir. I'm giving some clarity. Now try to understand this. First of all, tell me what is a client? No. Client is a computer or a browser? Computer or browser? Browser, not a computer. I given already some proof there. Single computer may have number of browsers, that each browser may be the client of a particular server side application. So their computer is not like what their client. We can say client computer, client machine. Inside this, number of clients may be existed. Browser is acting as what there? A client. Already we had discussion on it. Now I'm telling there what exactly the meaning of server. Is it a computer? Is it a computer? No. Here also I'm telling to you clearly. Server is a special software installed in a computer, installed in a machine. Installed in a machine. Got it or not? All right. It is able to perform the following, or else now later on I will give this information here. Server is a special software installed in a computer, installed in a machine. It able to provide, it able to process the request. It able to process the request. That's enough. That point is sufficient as of now. Okay, fine. This is the meaning of like what there. All right, server. Server is a special software installed in a machine able to process the request. That's okay, fine. Next one is in client server applications. In client server applications, the role of the server is, I want to give some points here. What exactly the server is able to do in a client server applications. All of you observe carefully. No? First one is what there, getting requests from client. Getting requests from client. Identifying requested resources at a server side application. Right, sir. Getting requests from clients, identifying requested resources at server side applications. Next one is executing server side resources, generating dynamic response, then after that sending dynamic response to the respective client. That's it. Now these are the various responsibilities of like what their client. Tell me, sir, responsibilities of the server. What are the various responsibilities of the server there? Getting requests from clients. Second one is what there? Identifying requested resources at server side applications. Executing server side resources. Inside the application, whatever the resources are identified there, executing server side resources. Generating dynamic response. Sending dynamic responses to the respective client. This is what exactly the meaning of what their server, what it is doing, activities at server side applications. What are the various example servers which are available there in general? No. Alright, so RAST is, even we are going to cover these many servers. Tomcat, we are going to see that initially, very basic programming, we are going to start with what there? Apache Tomcat. Next one is after that, later on, I'll go with what there? WebLogic. WebLogic, already in JDBC, some part of the WebLogic we have seen, installation, and what next one, get creating a domain, some basic awareness get. Next one is after that, here what we are able to see there, Glassfish, we are going to see there, how to use them. Then after this Glassfish, another thing is like what I'm telling to you, observe carefully, we are going to use Wildfly. That Wildfly is also be called as what there, JBus previously. Now new name is what there, that Wildfly. JBus 7.x version onwards, name was changed, that is what there, Wildfly. Now, but previously the name is what there, JBus only. Alright, sir, and so on. As of now, these many servers there, I'm going to discuss with you. In the case, if I identify any other server there, that we are going to work. But anyway, if you know working with one server, that's sufficient to work with what there, all the servers can know. But we are going to see these many things here clearly in our content here. Fine, sir. So this is about like what there, the server basic awareness here now. Next, all of you observe carefully. Understand this clearly. How many types of servers are available in general? There are two types of servers. There are two types of servers. I think in Spring Frameworks classes I have given this information. But again, we are talking about it. First one is like what there, web servers, and the second one is like what there, application servers. All right, so now this is one of the interview question for us. Now try to understand this question then. What are the differences between web servers and application servers? What are the differences between web servers and application servers? Right. Answer is very clear. Now try to understand this answer here. Web servers are able to provide environment for only web applications execution. But application servers can provide environment for all the types of applications like web applications and distributed applications. Simple punch. Right, sir? Web servers are able to provide environment to execute web applications. Web servers are able to provide an environment to execute web applications. Whereas application servers are able to provide an environment to execute both web applications and distributed applications. Both web applications and distributed applications. In both the cases here, we are able to get like what there, like application servers now. Examples for web servers, if you observe this clearly, observe carefully, different examples are available for it now, but well-known examples and I'm telling there. Up to Tomcat 5.x version, up to Tomcat 5.x version, it is a web server. Up to Tomcat 5.x version was there web server. Answer my point here now. This is one point here. Another point is like what there, resin, like this, some other server is available. Oracle Web, some other server is available, and so on. So many different servers are available, but whether they're working or nowadays or not, just leave this. Nowadays, every server vendor is trying to provide what their application server. Nobody is providing like what their web server. They're older servers. I'm telling them. Observe carefully. I think so that Sperlings, maybe I'm doubtful about it. SIEGN, I think so, maybe. But I'm doubtful about it. Not resin. I will check it later on here. But understand this now. Some might be then. I'm not sure about this spelling here, but anyway, one server is available. Oracle Web is available, right? And so on. So many things now. But application servers are able to provide an environment to execute both web applications and distributed applications. What are the various examples? All right, sir. Tomcat 6.x version onwards. It's like what there, it's like a application server. Not only that, you can understand like what there, WebLogic. WebLogic is one of the application server. Then apart from this WebLogic there, then we can go for like what there, JBoss. That means Wildfly. Whatever the list I have given there, all these are like what there, application servers. Next one is what there, Glassfish, and so on. So many. All these things are like what there, application servers now. Sir, got it or not? Fine, sir. But this is at present requirement. But if you go to the olden days, starting point of the computers and starting point of the client server applications, web servers requirement is different, application servers requirement is different. Web servers, for the sake of what their only static response, application servers are responsible for what their dynamic response. But later on, as per the user requirements, web applications are trying to generate some dynamic response. So web servers are converted to generate some dynamic response up to servlets and JSPs now. I got my point or not? But initially, web servers are mainly for what their web application. That is what their static response. Application servers are for what their dynamic content and dynamic responses then. But later on, requirements are changed. So web servers are also be generating little bit dynamic response up to servlets and JSPs clearly. But anyway, that point is not required for you. You may get confusion, but we can understand up to this point clearly. All right, so that's okay, fine. Then after that, all of you observe one more point now. Listen carefully. If we install any server software, then two components will be installed in the server. Observe carefully what I am telling here. If we install any server software, then two components will be installed in the server. First of all, now tell me, if I install Java software, how many components will be installed there? Now tell me. In general, two components are installed or not in the installation of the Java. What are the two components? No, JDK. Another one is what there, JRE. JDK and JRE. These two things are going to be installed. Practically, we have seen that. Similarly, when we install a server software, automatically we are able to get two components. What are the two components here we are able to get there? One is like what I'm telling to you. Observe carefully. One is main server. One is what there, main server. Second one is what there, container. One is main server and second one is what there, container. Now this is one of the interview question for us. Now try to understand it clearly. This is one of the interview question. What is the difference between main server and a container? What is the difference between main server and a container? Understand this, all of you know. I'll give some diagrammatic representation or try to understand this clearly. Right, sir. All of you observe carefully. Now, for example, this is a client term. Okay, this is client term. This is a server. This is what their server mission. Inside the server mission, I installed server software. So here main server is existed. Of course, here we are having like what their protocol between client and server. Protocol is also existed. Protocol in the sense like what their network. We can understand here. Now this I'm telling to you clearly like what their main server. Along with the main server, container is also existed here. This is container. This is like what I'm telling to you, container. Application is already deployed into the server. Here we have an application. Here we have an application. Say for example, I want to say login app for example. What is my application there? No, login app. But here we have a resource like what there login form.html. This is a resource. What is that resource there? Login form.html. .html. Then after that, here we have some other folder structure there. Now here we are having a servlet. This is what their servlet. Now what is this servlet actually? Login servlet. Login servlet dot class file Java code. Login servlet is existed. Everybody understand this clearly? Clear up to now this diagram? Nothing is there. So this is a client term, client browser. This is what their server mission. Okay, now here this is server side application where two resources I've taken. One is login form.html, another one is what their login servlet. I can say this is what their static resource. And this I want to say like what their dynamic resource. Clear? Static resource and what their dynamic resource. Okay. Next one is after that. Understand this? I'm submitting a request to the server from client. Directly here, I'm sending a request to the what their server mission. At server mission, who will take our request? No, observe carefully. Who will take our request here at server mission there? Server software only. But inside the server software, who will take that request? No, main server will take the request. How main server will take that request here? I'll give clarity. From protocol directly, main server will take the request. When we submit request to the server, no, protocol will take that request. Protocol will establish what there a socket connection. Then protocol will prepare what there a request format. Then protocol will carry that request format to whom there server mission on the basis of the server IP address and port number. Right or not? From the protocol, who will take this request totally? From the protocol, that request will be taken by main server. This is like what I'm telling you, request format. This also will like what their request format. Main server will take that request. Now, main server will check whether this request is good or not. Main server will check whether this request is good or bad. The request is good or not. That main server will check. Main server will check whether the requested resource is available at server side or not. All of you understand my point? If the requested resource is available at server side or not. What is the request here? We are submitting their first request. No, we submitted request for what their login form.html. Okay, the request is for what their login form.html. Now main server will take that request. The main server will check the requested resource is available at server side or not. In the case, if the requested resource is available, now main server will check whether request is coming for static resource or dynamic resource. Static resource is what there. Come on, static resource is what there. HTML page, login form.html. Dynamic resource is what there. Servlets and JSP. Now main server will identify whether the request is coming for static resource or not. If the request is coming for static resource, that is login form.html, then immediately whatever main server will do there, main server will identify the requested static resource. Main server will get the copy of this static resource content. It will open that login form.html. It will copy the total content, and the total content will be submitted as response to the respective client. Directly the total thing will be given to like what their protocol. Now protocol will prepare what they now observe carefully. Now protocol will prepare some response format here. In the response format, the total login form.html content is existed. The same thing will be transferred to like what there to the respective client. Same thing will be transferred to like what there to the respective client. Then where client is able to get the total login form.html, then it able to provide one login form here. What login form get able to provide there? Observe carefully. That login form should be like what there? Uname, text field, then UPWD, again text field. Here we have a button like what there? Login. Uname, text field, UPWD, text field. Then here we have a button like what there? Login button. Login form will come there. Now tell me here. All of you know, tell me. At a server side, if the request is coming for a static resource, then who will handle that request? No. Is it main server or container? Come on, main server or container? Main server. Main server will identify request is coming for a particular static resource. Then it will get that static resource content, not executing anything. Just copy the content of the static resource. The total copy will be given to like what their respective client by preparing some response format. It's okay. Nice. Up to that. Now, whenever we are getting this particular form, then what happened? You know, I need to provide some data or not? I have to provide some data. What data here we have to provide? This, say for example, ABC. Password data, something else like what there? Some password data here we provided. No, observe carefully. When we provide this password data, then click on like what there? Login button. When we click on this login button, automatically, then what will happen there? Automatically, when we click on this login button, again request will come to what there? To the main server. Okay, observe carefully. Along with that request here, what we provided here, no, we provided the requested resources what there? Login servlet. Of course, login is an URL pattern here we submitted there. Then URL pattern for login servlet is like what there? /login. Login is an URL pattern there, no. Locator for the servlet here. We submitted request with what there? Login. Then uname is equal to like what there? Ename is equal to ABC. And the UPWD is equal to ABC123. Something else here we provided. Final request is coming to that main server. Now what main server will do there? Now observe carefully. When request is coming there, main server, when request is coming there, main server will take that request. Main server will check whether this request is coming for static resource or dynamic resource. Main server identifies this. This is a request coming for what there? A servlet. It will do some searching mechanism there internally. It will identify this is the request coming for what there? Servlet. Then main server will check, is it possible to execute that particular servlet or not? But main server doesn't have any capability to execute server side components. Main server doesn't have any capability to execute server side components. Main server is only pick up the request from client, checking whether request is good or not. If the request is coming for static resource, taking that static resource content, sending that static resource content as a response to the respective client. as part of checking whether this request is coming for static resource or dynamic resource, if the request is coming for a dynamic resource, then main server is not having capability to execute dynamic resource. So what main server will do there? If it is a request for servlet, no, immediately main server will forward that request to the servlet container. Main server will forward that request to whom? There, servlet container. Now servlet container will identify the respective servlet on the basis of the URL pattern. When it identifies the servlet class there, it will execute the servlet class by following some life cycle. No, finally container is able to get some response here. That response would be given back to like what their main server. Now when main server is getting response from the container, no, main server will dispatch some response back to the respective client. Now that response will be generated there again by using what their response format. Our request is submitted there again by using what their request format. Yes, sir. Got it or not? For example, if it is a JSP page now, JSP container is available, another container is available. When request is coming for JSP page now, main server will check whether this request is coming for JSP page or not. If the request is coming for JSP page, immediately main server will forward that request to what there, to the JSP container. Now JSP container will execute that JSP page by following some life cycle. Then it able to get some response. That response will be given to the main server. Now main server will send that response to the respective client through the protocol. Main server knows that how to get requests from the protocol, how to send response to the protocol. It's like what they're not like exactly gateway, but it's a front person to pick the request from client to give some response to the respective client. Sir, got it or not? But now tell me, who will execute our server side resources actually? I'm asking execution, I'm not asking copy the content of the server side resource. I'm not thinking about it. HTML page is right, exact server side resource. The server side resource is a static resource. Just it allows us to only to read the data, not to execute anything there. HTML pages are not going to be executed at server side. HTML pages are going to be executed at which side there? Client side only. Browser can execute that HTML pages now. But who will execute our server side components dynamic resources? No, like containers will execute that. How containers are executing that server side resources? No, every server side component must have its own life cycle. Servlets are having its own life cycle. JSPs are having its own life cycle. EJBs are having its own life cycle. But all these life cycles implementations are available with the containers, not with the main server. The server side components life cycles are implemented with the containers, not with what their main server. So main server has to forward that request to a particular container. That container has to identify the server side resource and it has to execute the server side program and it has to generate some response. That response must be given to the main server. Now main server has to give that response back to what their respective client. Yes, sir, got it or not? This is what exactly the difference between what main server and a container. Again, I'm asking you now, tell me who will handle that static resources? No, main server. Who will handle dynamic resources? No, container. Container will handle what their dynamic resources. That's got it or not? Now let us see this punch. What is the difference between main server and container? In web applications, when we submit requests, from client to server, then main server will perform the following actions. First one is what there? Main server will take right, sir. Main server will take the request from protocol. Secondary, main server will check whether the request is good or not, good or bad. If the request is good, it's okay, it will be processed. If the request is not good, then it will send some error response to the respective client. Here itself I'm telling there, If the request is not good, then main server will send some error response to the client. Requested resource is not available, or maybe something else, some bad request or something else, some error response here we are able to get. Next one, after that, the main server, okay, if the request is good, then main server will check. If the request is good, then main server will check where the request is coming for static resource. Static resources like what there, like HTML pages, HTML files, or any other dynamic resource, Another dynamic resources like what there, servlets, JSPs, and so on. All right, sir. All right, sir. For example, if the request is coming for a static resource, then main server will get the copy of that static resource, and the main server will send that copy as a response to the respective client. If the request is coming for a static resource, then main server will get the copy of the static resource, and main server will send that copy as a response to the respective client directly now. All right, sir. If the request is coming for a dynamic resource like servlet, then what main server will do there? Now tell me. Then main server will forward request to the servlet container. Not only in the case of this servlet container I'm taking there, in general it will forward request to container. Right, sir. Main server will forward request to the respective container. I want to say like this. Respective container, maybe servlet container or maybe JSP container, whatever it may be, respective container to execute the dynamic resource. Right, sir. Next point. What is the point I'm telling there? Container will execute the dynamic resource. Container will execute the dynamic resource and send the generated dynamic response to the main server. Okay. All right, sir. Then after that, what next one here? Main server will send the generated response to the respective client through the protocol. That's it, guys. Now this is about like what there, the total internal flow here I'm telling to you. Observe carefully. But one point here I'm telling to you, observe this point here and some point here. No, in the web applications, when we submit a request from client to server, instead of saying this main server, then the request will be processed. With the following steps. Within the steps here, we can understand clearly what is the responsibility of the main server and what is the responsibility of the container here now. But one small note here I can give there. Finally, response is coming to like what their client. But one small note here I'm telling there. What is that note here? No, observe carefully. Main server is not having any capability to handle dynamic resources. where containers are having capabilities to execute dynamic resources. Why? Because what is the reason here internally? Why? Because containers are having the implementation of implementations of the dynamic resources life cycle actions. Like what are these dynamic resources life cycle actions? No, like what their servlet life cycle implementation, comma JSP life cycle, and so on. Only containers are aware about it, how to evaluate the servlet life cycle, the JSP life cycle. So before that, one point I'm telling you, observe carefully. Core Java programs are executed by whom? Come on, core Java programs are executed by whom? JVM. How JVM is executing core Java program? No, just by searching for main method, by calling main method, by executing main method, core Java programs are executed by JVM. Am I right or not? Now tell me, who will execute server-side programs? No, server software. Who will execute server-side programs? No, server software. How server-side programs are executed there? By following server-side components life cycles. Server-side components are not having main method. Servlet doesn't have any main method. JSP is not having any main method. So because of that reason, JVM is not required. If main method is available, then JVM is required. If main method is not available, JVM is not required. So then server softwares are going to execute server side resources now. But how server side components are executed by server softwares? No, server side components are executed by servers by following their life cycle actions. By following what their life cycle actions. What are the various life cycle activities there? Servlet is having its own life cycle. JSP is having its own life cycle. As per that life cycle activities only, that servers are going to execute our programs. Here I'm telling that every time server is executing server side resource, in the sense, depending on the resource only, the server or container which is going to be executed there. If it is a static resource, server will take care about it, main server. If it is a dynamic resource, no, container will take the responsibility of it. Container knows about it, what exactly the life cycle of the servlet. So servlet container will execute the servlet by following its life cycle. JSP container aware about it, how to execute the JSP pages now as per its life cycle. Then JSP container is able to execute the JSP life cycle. That means JSP components. So main server is mainly for administration work. Actual server side resources are executed by whom? Their container. That's it. Not more than this. That's it. All of you are getting clarity on this main server and container or not? All of you are getting clarity on this or not? That's it. No. This is exactly the meaning of like what the difference between main server and container. Observe carefully. After completion of this, another content is like what I'm telling to you. Right, sir. Observe carefully. Apart from this, what I'm telling to you, understand this point here. There are, or else maybe, in general, containers are classified in the following two ways. Different types of containers are available, but containers are classified in what? There two ways. What are the two ways of classification over the containers? No, first one is depending on the server side technologies. There are some containers like servlet container, comma JSP container, comma EJB container, and so on. Got my point or not? Depending on the server side technologies. Depending on the server side technologies, there are some containers like what there? Servlet container, JSP container, EJB container. Servlet components are executed by servlet container. EJB components are executed by EJB container. JSP components are executed by JSP container. This is one classification. Second one is what there? Depending on the container physical existency, depending on the container's physical existency, existence with the main server, there are three types of containers. Observe carefully. Depending on what their containers physical existence with the main server, there are three types of container. First type of container, okay, given already clarity that. But second type of container here we have to understand. What are the three types of containers here? No, first one is like what there standalone container. Second one is what there in process container. Next one is out of process container. Overall, three types of containers are available depending on the container's physical existence with the server, main server. Three types of containers are available. What are the three types of containers? No, standalone container. Second one is what there in process container, and third one is what there out of container, out of process container. That means out of box container or maybe out of process container. All right, so now they are the three types of containers here we are having. Okay, so these topics I will discuss within tomorrow. All right, and tomorrow I'll finish this total server component there. After completion of the server component, and tomorrow we will start steps to prepare first web application. Some steps I'm going to provide to you. So from tomorrow onwards, topics are very, very important. Don't miss that content and tomorrow onwards. Tomorrow onwards, almost next 1 week of time. Concepts are very, very important. Why? Because foundation for web application development I'm going to teach. So without failure, we have to understand it. Once if I complete these steps now, I'll start programming with the servlets. Servlet programs I'm going to write. If you want to understand the servlet program and its internal flow of execution, then we must know about like what their steps to prepare first web application. What is the purpose of the web.xml file and how to write web.xml file? What is the purpose of the web application and how to write this web application architecture? How to write servlets? How we are going to compile the servlet program? How to execute the servlets? When I submit request, then what will happen at server side? Everything will be covered in one by one fashion. Then without failure, try to attend for the classes in the next 1 week of time. If you require that after 1 week of time, if you want to take 1 day for practice, now I will assign that. But 1 week of time, including the Saturday and Sunday, you must attend for what there these classes. Damn sure. Saturday and Sunday we are going to have somewhat extra sessions there. I'll give the schedule again within 1 or 2 days of time. But afterwards, after completion of the first application, for the sake of practice, if you want to get 1 day, then I'll give that 1 day. But even that is also be not required here. Understand my point here? So 1 week of classes, don't miss these classes here now, right? That's all, guys. That's all for today. Then I'll meet on tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll see the remaining part here. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And guys, and some of you are coming here without ID numbers. Please, today onwards, that ID numbers are mandatory for everybody. Even we send that ID numbers there, but people are not entering that ID numbers. I'm going to remove your numbers from the list, and tomorrow at least we have to enter that ID numbers, guys. So most of the people are not entering that ID numbers. Just we are giving these ID numbers for the sake of authentication, right? Then you have to enter your ID number clearly. Okay. Jayant, what difference you identified? Do you think about Spring is not quality? In-depth is missing, no? Tell me, Jayant Agarwal. Now, I want to talk with you now. What do you identified in-depth in Spring framework? Now, tell me. What is there for each components now? Then what I started? Have I started any Spring related content? Yeah, core and context. Just overview are given there. Then why you are giving these words now? At least we have not seen in the first application context care. But how can you decide that? Just I'm giving overview of the models. Even I have not entered into the Spring framework. How can you decide that? The depth is missing now. No. Then sorry is not required. Just I'm asking there where I'm missing the depth. That is a question there. Really, if I miss the depth, then definitely I'll improve myself. Servlets and JSPs I'm teaching good. Okay, that's okay. But the depending on the concept, that Spring framework, when I have to introduce, then what components are available, still I have not started that. Just modules, basic overview of the modules I'm giving. Then where we can identify missing the depth now. Where I started core part, sir. Core module, where I started, even still I did not started core module. Just I'm in introduction part only. Still I'm giving that modules, then how many modules are available. Up to that one I'm giving there. Just overview of this. Java features topic is there now. How I'm explaining that Java features in the same way I'm explaining all the points. But nothing is started there in the Spring framework. Hmm? How can you decide? I think you are not aware about it. More than the servlets and JSPs, we have the content with the Spring framework. But let me start the Spring framework there. If you're not understanding, then we will check for that. Even I did not start it there, but still we are deciding that depth is missing in the Spring framework. How it is possible? Just wait few days after, then you'll understand everything. Okay, guys. Then I'm giving to you Abhishek Sharma, Charan Kumar, Manas, and Mujifar, and some other members there. Ramadevi, Ramesh, Shabana, Sheila, and Sonali, Srilata, Yogi. All these people are not joined with IDs. No, not joined with IDs there. So just I'm going to remove these names from the list. Then we are able to get registration form again. There we have to enter. At least tomorrow we have to enter all the IDs there. Already we send mail to everybody. Please recognize this. No, Charan Kumar, no, it is not visible. As a first name, we have to enter what there, that ID number. As a second name, we have to enter your name. Everybody, guys. Please remember this. Why? Because then that is your authentication there. Already private links are giving there. So it's mandatory for everybody. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot. I'll see that remaining point on tomorrow. Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot.